Okay. Yeah, that's just a placeholder screen. We'll wait till people join in. Um, so for all the people that have joined in or registered for the event, close to 90% of the people said that they use AI tools on a weekly basis and occasional. The daily usage, at least again self-identified, was close to 4%. So that's pretty, yeah, that was really interesting. I thought it'll be much higher. That was one interesting fact. And then the other thing was, we asked the question of what AI tool you're most curious about right now from all our 150 folks or so. And close to 40% mentioned Claude as a tool they're overarchingly curious by. And then if you break it down, 30% specifically mentioned Claude Code. So that was also, again, really interesting to see quite a few of you are interested in specifically Claude Code in your design workflow. Compare that to Figma Make, it was like close to 10%. Now, it could be that many of you are not using Figma Make, or it's very straightforward. So it's not something, you have more curiosity to dig deeper into. Um, and then some more like, things like Cursor, um, and few others like specific development tools were less than 3%. Um, and then one or two people were interested about tools like pencil.dev, which is a new tool I think that just came out, and Vrive, which I think it's for motion design more. So yeah.
Record.
Sorry?
You want to record this?
Oh, we are recording it.
Okay.
Wait, no, Apurv, let me check. Do you all see a recording? Because
Yeah, it's recording.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Cool.
Amazing. Okay. It's 12:05. I think we are okay to get started. So if you want, Ian, we can get started with you. For all the three folks that are going first in demos, it would be amazing that we can have a little bit of a format for the attendees. So please do introduce yourself, introduce your level of usage with the AI tools. And then for specifically to today's demo, it would be helpful to talk about first the tool you're going to be demoing, if that's in your current design process at work, or is it something you're just curious about and you're playing with it on your own, and then you can go into the demo. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
All yours.
All right. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name's Ian Hooper. I'm a lead designer at IBM, and I use AI in fair bit of my work, I guess. I've been using Figma Make, and then we have an internal product called Bob, which is like integrated development environment for, it's like kind of like Claude Code, actually. So that I've been just more on the experimental side of things, but that's basically it. So today I'm going to show you a little prompt. Well, it's actually a rather long prompt that I've created for Figma Make. And the story around it is this. Um, I I wanted a way to create rapidly a lo-fi version of the designs that I was creating in Figma. This sort of comes from a place where I used to be a huge believer in sketching and doing lo-fi mock-ups before presenting, before getting lock-in from my stakeholders. I even presented at UXDA once about the power of sketching in design. So I was, very much on that side of things, that you need to, work loosely and quickly and iterate rapidly in early stages of design. But Figma kind of turned that on its head for me, because as we adopt design systems and components and auto layouts and so on, I could throw together designs so quickly that they were like throwaway for me. But because of the nature of reusable components, it would look highly polished. And then you'd run into all these problems of stakeholders, thinking it's basically done. So there were times where I wanted to have a lo-fi version, but it was easier for me to create a hi-fi version. I experimented with creating different design libraries, like a library of sketchy components. But then I would be basically recreating I would do a hi-fi design, and then for presentation, I'd create a lo-fi mock-up version, and it was like doubling my work. And and if I wanted to make changes, if in the meeting or whatever, I'm kind of on the fly doing something with the lo-fi, it would be hard to translate that back to the hi-fi. So, anyways, that was the sort of space I was struggling with. So, with that, I'll share my screen. I just need permission, I guess. Okay, so let me try that. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that I create at work. You should. Oh wait, let me click that. Now you should be able to see it. All right. Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff I create at work. It's a lot of charts and tables and things, and what ends up happening is people will get fixated on the numbers in the table, or how the calculations are done to show the different numbers, and it was very distracting. So I created this prompt in Figma Make to auto generate it, and this is the kind of output that I would get from just running it through. And it was really nice for me because I was able to specify it to keep things like column header names, because that would be important to me, because I needed to know, like, well, what columns do we want in this table? So I could still have that conversation about the sort of information groups that I want to have on the page, but not get caught up in the details, and also the colors and other things like that. And by giving it this kind of blueprint like aesthetic, it signaled very clearly to people, oh yeah, we're still in, like, anything's possible. We can talk about different layouts and whatever. So I found that to be pretty useful. So this is the prompt, and it's very long. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's basically because of how I did it. So I didn't write it by hand. What I did was I had a mock-up of this that I had done manually, of a lo-fi mock-up. I gave that to Figma Make and said, I want to turn other designs into something like this. And then it was sort of through an iterative process that I kind of trained it how to produce this from any design I would give it, and kept on feeding that back in and telling it to give me the instructions in Markdown format. And then I compiled it more or less into this. So, um, so it starts off with some core principles, um, and then it goes into this whole section about sizing, which is kind of weird to me. But it was because when I was doing it, it was always making things really big. It was sort of like, oh, it thinks that lo-fi means kindergarten large. So I had to always tell it to shrink things down. Um, so there is a bunch of stuff about sizing, which sort of surprised me. But the main thing is it sets up like a color palette conversion. It has the mapping guidance, some rules about what to keep, like the column headers, names, um, and uh, and then like certain things like, okay, um, we're going to handle the breadcrumbs like this. We're going to handle the cards and panels like that, and it just goes on like that. with all of these details. Now, that is a really large prompt, so I don't actually use it as a prompt per se. In Figma Make, if you go into the code view, you can see there's a guidelines.md file. So that's where that lives. So I just paste that into the guidelines file. So this is the prompt that you were just looking at. And then I give it instructions and I say, following the guidelines, convert this high fidelity design into a low fidelity wireframe mockup while preserving layout structure. And that's sort of that's my standard prompt. So this is a copied Figma design, and I would just copy and paste it into here with my prompt, and then it converts it. And so you can see in this case, the first time round, oh yeah, so that first time around it worked pretty well. Now I want to do a different design. Now in this case, I used an image because sometimes I find if I copy and paste from Figma, if my layouts are too complicated, it kind of chokes on it and it's like too big to paste in. So sometimes I just use a screenshot. So that in that case, I used a screenshot. And again, um, yeah, and actually, I was lazy with the prompt. I just said do the same thing as before, and so then it did that. And now because I was using a screenshot instead of the actual Figma design file, with all of the layers and components and stuff, it didn't work perfectly on the first batch. So it came back with the pie chart being in full color. So then I had to tell it, no, actually, I want the pie chart to be monochromatic. Uh, and then it did something wrong with the width of the table, and it fixed that. And then this is what I got. So, um, and then from here, you can just bring it back into Figma, and that's all there is to it. So that's my presentation, and I'll just give you some eye candy. Oh, I wanted to show one other thing quickly. Yeah, so here you can see another example of before and after. Um, doesn't always work perfectly. So in this one, I had a map illustration, and it turned the map into this. So, you know, otherwise it was okay. So, so that was a case where I just did some, a little bit of post editing and dropped in a colorized map. But yeah, mostly I don't have to do much post processing. It just works, and so it's pretty fun to do that because now I can have these lo-fi mock-ups that I can use in my presentations, and it really doesn't take any extra effort from me. And I can continue to do my work in the thing with the proper components and all of that, and I don't have to go with this extra wasted effort. So, any questions?
That was really cool, Ian. Uh, do we have questions for Ian?
Are you willing to share the guidelines file with the community by any chance?
Yeah, I was thinking about it and I was looking through it, and I don't think there's anything proprietary in it. The color schemes and some of the names for our components is you might need to do some tweaking. Plus, I did think to myself that if you wanted to really like go in and hand edit this, it probably could be a little more organized. So there's room for improvement, but yeah, I could share this and then give it a try and make it better.
Thank you, Ian. We have one more question.
Thanks. Ian, that was fantastic. I'm curious as well, like I know you have those guidelines. Are you using, I'm assuming IBM has, you're using their design system as well within that. So are you building the guidelines to kind of mirror how the components work and stuff? Because I find there's like this weird balance of trying to mimic the components that we have in a system, but also not then redoing the same thing over and over again every time you need to prompt for something to explore with it.
Yeah, it's not super dependent on yeah, we do use like IBM's Carbon design system, which is an open source design system, so anyone can use it. Um, but it's not called out all that explicitly. There are a few items in here that I think are using the component name, but for the most part, yeah, I guess you're maybe seeing some things there. But for the most part, it's pretty generic. Uh, in my other regular work, if I'm doing things with Figma Make, we do have like a library, a carbon design system library that we load into Figma Make, and that helps keep it a little more aligned to the proper standard. But it's it still likes to kind of go a little off target on that. So that's I don't know. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Very cool. We'll take one last question, Michael. Michael Levin. Hey, thanks, Ian. Long time no see. Thanks for sharing. I was just curious, how do you frame this for stakeholders? Like, do they know that you have? I've actually got a hi-fi one, but I'm not going to share it with you because I don't think you can handle it right now. Like, what's your how do you set this up for people?
Uh, yeah. I guess I do sort of hide it. um, no, it's not like I'm purposely trying to keep it a secret, but I do just show it like, hey, this is what I've got. Here's here's the design so far kind of conversation. Because in my mind, like when it doesn't matter if like I have something that's all organized like this. In my mind, this is throwaway too. So if it's early enough. So if I show them this and say, all right, this is where I'm at right now, that is true. Um, and then if they say, like, let's say this is really perfect and, we're good to go. Well, then I show them this, moments later and everyone's like, wow, you're so fast.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ian. That was really helpful. And to Apu's question, yeah, Ian, whenever you're ready, we can tackle the sharing of these prompts and markdown files later.
Okay,
Okay,
great. Thanks.
thank you. Up next, we have Eugene.
Yes. Let me just share my screen real quick, and then we can hop in. So while this is loading, maybe a little bit of a quick intro. I'm Eugene Joe. I've been in this space for a while now, and I constantly explore and evaluate AI tools. I also shared in a previous event my Claude code, open Claude setup. And today I'm going to show you a little bit about what I do with Cowork and Claude Code. So the story behind this is I was trying to generate a lot of animation assets for websites with a lot of like intricate animations. And I would generate those animations through AI, and uh, it would be a pain in the ass to try to convert it into a Lottie file, which is kind of like one of the most efficient ways of bringing animation into a website or an app. And previously, the way that I would do it is I would download the video. It would have a green screen background that I'd have to bring into After Effects, key out the green screen, export it as a PNG sequence, re-import it back into After Effects, and then use the Lottie as a body moving tool plugin to then export. And it was this really long-winded way of trying to generate an asset And I was thinking to myself, okay, there must be a tool because I'm not the only one that has gone through this, and Lottie file format is fairly popular. So I couldn't find one. And then I decided to see if I can use Claude Cowork to automate some of this. And as you see from the prompt, I was just asking it questions along the way to even see if it was possible, right? So after asking it if it was possible to do even something like this, it said, yes, like there's existing tools, but we can also build a custom tool as well. So I kind of went down along this path and sort of give it prompts on what I was trying to do, my situation, what sort of outputs that I wanted it to have, and what sort of customization options that I wanted it to do. And after sort of it going through and building out first version, then I noticed some issues with like, the UI, and I was tweaking it. So most of this chat actually, if I scroll through it all, is just UI refinement, right? Oh, like a progress bar wasn't working. Some of the grouping of certain elements wasn't correct. And it was able to output a local HTML file. So this is not something that needs compute on the cloud or anything. It just does everything locally. And let me share that screen really quickly so you can see what it actually generated. So this is a preview of the tool called PNG to Lottie. And essentially you can drop in a folder of PNG images or just a video file. So I will show you something that I've been working on, a little bit of a backstory of this. I'm creating an app with my daughter, for my daughter, and this is her childhood bunny animated. So if you see, right, it's just a talking bunny with a green screen background, all generated with AI. And what this allows me to do then is I can key out the green screen. So you just use it as a color picker, key it out. All of a sudden you have transparency. And then you can kind of play around with some of the like green screen variables. And then what you can do then is hit extract frames with chroma key. So the cool part about this, again, is this is all done locally, right? So you're not paying for any API connection or anything. It does it all on your computer. And as you can see at the bottom, it'll export out all the frames, and then there's a preview of what it is. Oh, the preview is, sorry, it's optimizing. So once it's done optimizing, I can then preview it, right? So this is what the previewed version of it would look like once it exports essentially all the frames as a PNG sequence. And then now on the right side, this is where you can sort of, set the name, the frame rate, and some of that as well. And the cool part about this is I've kind of worked on optimization. So you'll notice that with video files and animations, it's like rather large. A 90 megabyte file for an animation on the website is not feasible. So what you can do is, really, so what I'll do is I'll actually set maybe like a smaller size. So maybe 500. Right? And then we'll see how that goes. Okay, so now it's reduced it significantly. And then I also have something called like aggressive compression, where you can kind of limit the maximum colors and like kind of play around with some of these variables, and you'll see the sort of file size update live. And then once you're kind of set with whatever the file size is going to be, you can export in multiple files, including a JSON Lottie file or dot Lottie file, or the actual PNG sequence with the green screen keyed out, or like a web and video. So this sort of allows me to take what would probably take half an hour to an hour on After Effects to do it in something like 2 minutes. And the reason why I wanted to show this is because I encourage people to explore like Cloud Code or any, AI tool, and actually build tools for yourself that you would use. We kind of live in a world now where this is very viable and actually relatively easy to do with very little technical knowledge. And, you can start as simple as, thinking about what are the most annoying things as part of your day-to-day, and then try to figure out a way to automate it in a way that saves a bunch of time and sort of increase your productivity. All right. That's kind of the end of what I was going to present. Any questions?
That is so cool.
Just
And I could talk about this stuff all day. Yeah, I could talk about this stuff all day.
This is really cool. I'm sure many people are gonna reach out to you to access the tool now. Yeah, Laura's all.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, how do I get access to this?
I was thinking about open sourcing it, but if there's enough interest on it, I'll put it on GitHub and share the link so anyone can download this and play around with it.
Really cool. Okay, I think we had a lot of people want access. I think we had some questions beyond the access. Ian, you had a question.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering, like, is the like compression and image optimization and green screen removal, are any of those leveraging external libraries, or how? It's
No.
really
Yeah.
amazing.
That's the thing that was shocking to me. I'm like, no way, this isn't connect. Like, I wouldn't need to connect to any sort of API or service that can compute all this stuff. But no, it's done all locally, and that's the beauty of it. So anyone can just download just the HTML file, and it will work.
Wow. Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Really cool. Azul, you had a question? Cloud versus
Hi
Cursor?
everyone, this is great. And I actually been doing something similar for animations that I export as GIF files. But I've been using Cursor. And so I was wondering, because with Claude, I have been working very well with it, but sometimes it gets stuck. So I give the file from them to Cursor, and between the two, I end up like refining. So I was wondering, what's your experience in terms of which platform works best for you?
Yeah. So if I had to do this again, I would actually start in Cloud Code. And my sort of main tools of choice is a Cloud Code instance in Cursor. You can use the only reason why I did this in Cork is because I wanted to test Cork early on, and this is sort of something that I've been working on for a little bit and refining. But I think what you're talking about, which is more of an IDE environment that has a bit more granular controls, is like my sort of preferred method now.
Really cool. Amazing. Thank you so much, Eugene.
Great.
And I think, more than the prompt, people are waiting for the access to the tool.
Yeah, I'll share it in the Slack group as soon as I get out.
Amazing. Okay, we are halfway, 30 minutes. We have 2 more demos. I am going to ask for a favor from everyone because I forgot to do this last Friday. I want to take a Zoom selfie. So, can folks switch on their cameras if you're comfortable? Let's see how many I can fit in my screenshot here. And let's just take a big old. Okay. I don't know how many limits has everyone seen, but I'm just gonna go through and take 4 screenshots, okay? Bear with me, but also keep smiling with the big smiles. Oh, Aksha's like, I might work. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, we got till 2. The next 2 are cameras off, and that's okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so next up, we have another fun project that I got a little sneak peek of, and that's by Mr. Vilakshan. Are you here, Vilakshan? Oh, yeah. Amazing. So, Vilakshan, I'll let you, the format, just introduce yourself, what the project is about, the tool you're using, and then you can go into the demo. Thank you.
So hello everyone. My name is Vilakshan and I work as a senior product designer at EQ Bank. So I design like different EQ Bank products. At work, I use a lot of different AI products like Figma Make, some VS Code, like using ChatGPT codecs into VS Code, and then also using some Claude and then ChatGPT. But the project that I'm gonna demo today, like a workflow, is more outside of the work. So I am always fascinated by how we can leverage AI in storytelling through like short films or even like creating some small AI ads, like an ad for a product, ad for a car, and how we can push the limits. So this is one of my first project that I tried just for myself. Um, so the tools that I would be showing along with something called like system prompts is basically ChatGPT and Higgsfield. And at the end, I can show you how you can use VVAI to actually make the whole workflow super fast. So I can share my screen to get started. Let me know once my screen is visible. That's
It's visible.
it's visible. Okay. Basically, what I am trying to create with this project is basically a spec ad for one of my favorite car, Alfa Romeo. So I always start with something called like assigning a character to the basically the Chat GPT. So I start with like a system prompt. So I assign Chat GPT a role, which is like he's like a AI luxury automotive campaign director, like specializing some things like what are the primary objectives. I also asked ChatGPT to ask me any question until he's like clarify of the full ask and everything. This way I get like more detailed prompts and there is no gaps in between. So I assign this at the start of a chat. Once I assign at the start of a chat, I start with ChatGPT being like a quick AI video director. So I start with like giving him like some images. In this case, I give him just like a random image of basically like the environment that and the vibe that I'm looking for to generate the whole ad and stuff. So and I describe like what I'm trying, like a very short story that there is like a car and it's going through like the hilly winter cloudy road. And then there is like a cut scene to the wolf, where wolf is also going through the forest, showing the instinct and the speed. And based on that, the chat GPT starts giving me like to log the character and the vibe, it starts giving me some prompts. As you can see, the prompts are more in detail, like there is subject, there is short setup, there is keywords, some technical notes, and I put those into a tool called Higgsfield. So I use Higgsfield primarily to generate the images and the video. So I use the model called Nano Banana Pro. So once I put this prompt into the Higgsfield, I get an image like this. But however, like it's always back and forth with the AI, like you talk with him throughout this. So in this case, I just told him that I want the vibe to be more darker, less light than this. Very simple, and gives me like a new prompt where it describes lightning more in detail along with some style keywords changed. At the end, after doing back and forth, I get this image, which would serve as the vibe or like the starting image for the whole campaign. So I would be using this image as a reference for generating more and more images, so that everything is tied in the same light, same environment, and same vibe. So after the image has been generated, I use like a system prompt, which I can share it with the group also. It's something like this one. It basically generates like a 3 by 3 grid of different angles of a shot. You can describe your short story at the start and put this prompt. It will generate like a quick 3 by 3 grid. Here in this case, I can show you a quick 3 by 3 grid like this. Uh, so like you can see like there are different angles of the car, which is like side angle, low angle, the top angle. There is like an inside two also. So you can start generating this without burning your credits basically. So you start generating this lot of like grid shots. And once you are happy with whatever shots you want, you can prompt like a very simply that isolate this shot from the grid, and it will give you that shot. One thing that I always do with all of my shots that are isolated is running an upscale prompt, which is basically in this scenario. Let me actually find the prompt. Um, dot. Just 1 second. I had that image open, but I lost it. uh, So yeah, I always like run all the images through this. So basically it says that preserve the exact composition, framing, camera angle, do not change anything. It's just that it add more realism to the actual images. without running or upscaling or burning credits on the upscaling prompts. So you can see this is the image, which is like more blurry, extracted from the grid. There is no detail, there is no logo. The lights also feel hazy, and it's look blurry like the environment, and there is no depth. So after running the prompt, you can see that the depth has been added. The logo is now more clear, and you can see like how the image has been enhanced. Once you are like pretty much okay with like the images, you go to the next step, which is actually generating a video. So in video, I use something called like Kling 3.0. So this new model of Kling is very powerful in terms you only have to give one image, and you can actually divide your prompts between multi-shot. So in this case, one is like the low front 3/4 angle. The second one is like a tracking shot. And the third one is like a high, slightly elevated crane shot. And you can add elements. What are elements? Elements is basically just giving you context on how your car look from all the four angles. So I added like a quick context sheet where the car is being screenshotted from all the four angles so that the AI won't morph too much. So in this case, I got this video along with the sound effects.
Well,
As you can see,
I have a good question. When you were showing that short thing,
Mhm.
how are those prompts also coming from ChatGPT?
Yes, I write those prompt in this one. So basically I create like a new chat and I use the information that is present on the Kling website and feed it into the chat GPT and create like a system prompt. So here basically what I only have to do is just upload one image, and if I want a specific shot, I describe the shot. Otherwise, it will analyze the image and give me whatever is the best shot, which is possible with the Kling 3.0 model. So it will give me like a single shot also, and it will also give me what are the possibilities with the multi-shot also. So that way your work becomes a lot faster and AI do the thinking for you. You only just like play around with ChatGPT and the Higgs field and the generation. So another shot that I did with the Kling was this wolf one. As you can see, this is the start of the wolf. The camera cuts to the foot, and it even like there is a POV camera on the back of the wolf. So basically, you can use this clips to actually stitch it together in the edit part of the which is the last part, and add sound effects to make something like a full film. Currently, I'm on the last stage of generating this, which is basically generating the sound effects, which I would be using 11 Labs, and then editing it in some CapCut or Adobe Premiere Pro. But I'll to end the presentation, I'll show something which you can like. There is a lot of back and forth here, and it's a lot of time taking. So I realized towards the end that there is something called like a node-based flows, which we can use in VV.ai. So I played around with a small image, which is this one here. And I gave him like again like a system prompt that analyzes the image and create like a 10 different shots of it, which are continuous. So you can see that I can directly get the shots here. And there is a system prompt which basically generates like a first and the last frame motion. Like AI will decide on itself which motion to give or not. And you can get like a quick film like this here. So yeah, like you can see, like I can like this is the jacket that I custom designed, like how a Figma jacket would look like. So I designed it with the AI. As you can see, like AI stage, like this, everything is done within like 5 minutes. Once you had this system set up in VB, everything can be done with the super efficiency. So Hexfield has its own benefits, but VB gives you like more efficiency if you want to go for specific workflows. So yes, and I'll share the link when the ad for the Alpha Romeo is ready. It's just on the generating the sound effects and like editing part of it. That's all for the presentation. Yeah. Any questions?
Amazing, Vilakshan. Just casually making ads while making banking apps in the 9 to 5. That's amazing. That was really the Alpha Romeo one. Yeah, that would be exciting to see once it's done. And yeah, Vivi I think got acquired by Figma, no? Recently.
Yeah, we got acquired by Figma.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting some jacket interest to maybe you should set up a Shopify store. You already have the ads. Do we have any questions? I know it's a very different demo, but when Vilakshan shared his workflow, I thought, I know most of us don't get to do this fun stuff in our 9 to 5. But it was really cool to see how easily you can explore some creative ideas with these tools.
I assume you're using pro versions of these tools.
Yes, yeah.
How much
Version
do you
three
think?
called-
How much do you think it costs to make a video, like just in terms of credits and so forth, tokens burned?
So for this one Alpha Romeo one, I had like a $35 plan on Hexpil, which gives me 1,200 credits. I almost burned 600 credits to generate this video. So half. But the thing is, like, once you get better with the system prompting and you develop that eye, which clip to pick, which not to do, I think you get more and more efficient. But yes, you need like pro plans for everything. They burns a lot of credits. Yeah.
Still, it's incredible to think like the alternative, the cost of like filming and
Yeah.
you know, or
100%.
3D modeling. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really great work.
Thank you.
Well, quick question for you, Vilakshan. Now that you have all these clips, you said you were gonna do it like in CapCut or Adobe Premiere, and like, so is that, would you say, a more manual process still of taking these clips in and turning it into a narrative, or are you also using AI in that part as well?
So the last editing part is still manual right now with the Premiere Pro. There are some like you can apply some like you can prompt some effects and stuff within CapCut. I know CapCut has an AI piece into it, but it's still a lot of manual works towards the editing piece. With like AI getting more and more advanced, there's a new model coming called Seed Dream 2.0, where you can generate 15 seconds long video with multi shots. So in that case, the editing would be lower and lower because if you want to generate like a 30-second film, it's like 15 plus 15 and you do some editing.
Yeah,
So the models are getting better, but still the editing part is still manual. Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I think you got way better results than when I was testing Sora. The videos
Yeah.
I came up with were not very nice.
Yeah.
Well, Vilakshan, I can send you some examples because just last night this is a new Y Combinator startup that built as you can see, it looks like ChatGPT on the side, like text, but it's actually editing the video. Like for those of you who were at Design Leadership Summit, this is one of the talks from the global head of design at Uber. So I was editing her talk, and I hate using Premiere. Maybe hate is a strong, but I really dislike like video editing is not my jam. But I had to do the stuff because the speaker asked for some edits, and it's so easy. But this one I know leverages transcription from the video. So it was leveraging the speaker's text to be like, oh, I had a lot of filler words and stuff. So I don't know how that works for something like what you're creating, right? Because it's more visual.
Yeah. It's more clips. Yeah.
But
But I get like, yeah.
yeah, those parts of the workflow, I think, are also getting tackled now. Now all these tools just need to talk to each other. Yes, Jolie, great example of speeding up cringy tasks, all the grunt work. Himesh, you wanted to do a quick demo?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of run through the process of kind of got going with Lovable, and more specifically on like, I know a lot of people use Lovable and then create all these kind of websites, but then like, how do you then take it to the next level and like tinker around with it to make it more better? So just wanted to kind of share the kind of process I've been doing, and then yeah, see what people think about it. So just to give a little bit of context, the one I'm sharing is a very simple concept. Is This is like one of the very first projects I was starting. So I want to keep the concept simple while I just play around with the tool and try to understand exactly what it's capable of. I'm just trying to look. Oh, here's the share screen button. Share. Share. No. There we go. Okay, cool. So what I wanted to do is create a very simple thing where you upload a photo, and you know how on LinkedIn you can like basically have like a hiring banner or a open for work banner. I just wanted to put a banner on a photo and do that. So I prompted it, came up with this UI. So it was pretty simple, and worked after like tinkering on with it a bit. Then I was like, let's make it better and make it more looking good. So, just went in Figma, came up with a bunch of different designs of how I could do it. Once I kind of chose one, which was I wanted to choose this kind of design, and then I took that design and I got into Lovable. So then I had this design here where it was kind of all these like examples, and like I had this like kind of motion for all the things. So I'll quickly just show you how that works. I had downloaded a photo recently right now. Where is it? Here we go. So you can see as you go navigate, it kind of will put in there and then you just download it. So very simple of how it actually works, just kind of creates a photo. But what I didn't like is there's so much space between these, and I was like, I don't want to keep going back and forth with the AI to try to make these all perfect. I want to do it myself, but without burning that many tokens. So with majority of my way I prompt Lovable is first I have this ChatGPT custom GPT, which is like you can just search for it. Mine is called Lovable Prompt Assistant, and I've been using it the whole time to chat with Lovable and create a prompt. So what I wanted to do was create a kind of a debug feature where I can have a little playground to test all the positions of this without actually making any changes in code. So I just kind of asked it, I want to create a way to test the different positions. I've seen other websites have a playground testing where you can have an admin portal type thinking. I'm thinking of a modal. At the bottom, there's going to be a button that says copy configuration. So that's your task that you confirm that you can understand my intention, and then you can provide any feedback. So then it kind of tries to understand what I'm saying and then why it's strong, and then ask me a bunch of questions for each section of like what it wants to what it thinks I should do. So then I was like, oh, that's exactly what I want. And I pretty much gave it every single thing it prompted me on. I gave it context of specifically what it should be. So how should it be gated by this URL parameter? It should have live dragging or numerical. It should be both. How should the coordinate system work? Constraints, all the output, everything. And then after that, it kind of gave me a visual of like, okay, this is what it's going to look like. And after it gave me all that stuff, I kind of play around with the bench, and then it eventually gave me what was the prompt that I was going to put into Lovable. So then I basically copied and pasted this prompt, which then went into Lovable. And in Lovable, what I always do is I have it in plan mode always. So I put the prompt in that ChatGPT give me, it gives me the plan. Then I look at the plan and I review it, make sure that it's actually has interpreted exactly what I wanted to do. And you can always edit the plan if you want as well. And I've also connected Lovable to my GitHub. So what I did in GitHub is I created a second branch, which was just for that. So even if anything kind of screws up here, I can always revert back to my main branch. And if it's good, then I merge it back into my main branch. So I had created a branch for adding that debug modal. So then this, anytime you like change it here, you can define what branch you want to work on. So then after that, it created a plan, and the original app, now I put in this parameter debug portraits. It had this really cool modal here. So then whenever I would drag one of these, or actually on this one, it like kind of live updates that position for that specific one. If I update it here, it changes it here. I can then change the size, and then basically figure out exactly how I want these portraits to look without actually interacting with the code at all anymore. And then on this side, when it's in position, none of the dragging is live. And then when I go to the motion tab, then the dragging is live again. And then like if I want to increase this interaction radius, then it goes very fast. If I want to make the interaction radius very small, so I can pretty much play around every single physics feature I want and the position for everything. And then it will like also have the safe zones. So, between 25 to 75% of the screen, it shouldn't have anything. So if I try to drag it, it won't even let me drag it because it's safeguarded to not upset the main middle part. So, and then I also realized, wait a minute, like this is kind of covering some stuff. So I created another one, like after I made the modal, I made a couple different edits. So like here's like a see-through feature so that I can like see things even behind it. And I can even like add more portraits if I wanted to, and then like, put them all around. So really very basic concept from idea, but I wanted to then use that basic concept to see how would the process work of creating a project, how would the process work of debugging that project and, extending it. And yeah, so that's kind of the demo. Here's another one I had where it was a very simple thing was doing where I was trying to create a alarm clock kind of game, and it was very animation heavy, and that animation was very jagged and jittery at the very beginning. So I created a debug feature where it would do it like one step at a time. So then I could tell it, oh, on step 2 is where you're messing up. On step 3 is where you're messing up. So yeah, that's just a couple of ways of how I've been thinking about using ChatGPT for creating the prompts and then creating these extended debug parameters to make it like tinker around with the finessing of it.
Really cool. That was really cool, Himesh. I don't think I've seen folks demo like this kind of approach earlier of the debugging. So that's such a neat idea of how to leverage these tools. Really cool. Do we have any questions for Himesh? Is this a tool you're actually planning to put out?
Yeah, it's been way too long in the running. It should have been coming out last year, but just when you get to 80% and then that 80 to 100 is always where you tinker out forever. So I just need to finish it up and then launch it out hopefully within the next week or two.
Really cool. Amazing. Cool. Thank you so much, Himesh.
No worries.
Really exciting. Okay, we have lost 5 minutes. I had a very small, quick demo that I can show, which is just using ChatGPT, but it's scratching an itch where that we often have on the design team at EQ. So a prompt that may be helpful for you at work for some of you. So to give you context on the design team at EQ, we're pretty research team that sits outside, which serves the entire org. But often when we are ideating on new features, um, I'm always encouraging the team to think of at the absolute point zero to do two things, even when we are pretty lean. One is to not try to not try to solve problems from scratch that have been already solved. So find the baseline, find other players. We are in the banking space. We can draw inspiration not just from Canadian banking apps, but globally. So already look for ideas that are out there in the market, that traction is there, and then we can build on top of it. And second is when we are ideating, really keep the focus on jobs to be done. So for that, one thing that I started doing was, and again, this is very similar to Vilakshan's approach of, you just tell the app what kind of persona they're playing. So it was like, again, very high level. It's like we are starting with just a net new idea. So we are exploring a space. We do not even know what the jobs to be done specifically would be. But, you start to get inklings like, oh, the business is starting to look in this direction. So can we quickly figure out the competitive landscape and then map the competitive landscape to the jobs to be done clusters, right? So we can have a much more deeper UX tear down of what that space looks like. So you give it some context. You're like, this is broadly the space we're looking at, the geography. Is there age relevance? Is there a channel relevance? Are there constraints? And what exactly am I trying to decide? And then it'll give you a few specific outputs. It'll look at all the different jobs to be done, which come in really helpful when you're talking to different stakeholders because they don't want to necessarily always know about your UX journeys, but they want to know what problem you're solving for the end customer. Competition is, of course, really helpful, the competitor analysis, because that can also help you either amplify your argument why we should take a certain approach because it already has traction, or the opposite, like, hey, everyone's approaching it this one way, we should look at it a different way. And then, you start to kind of break down the rationale and all. So I already ran it this was an idea last year. We were exploring. This is not something we are acting on, so I can share. And the idea was very simple. Again, much more high level, which was like, if we were to look at the travel landscape or the audience that travels quite often, but is also banking with us. Is there a certain overlap? Like should your app almost like have a travel mode, right? So again, the idea was super high level. So in this case, even for me to just get some early feedback before I even come into a meeting and talk about this idea, it was really helpful. So it was like exploration context. It was like travel mode in banking apps, global geography, age group, mostly 18 to let's say 40, maybe 45. People who are traveling quite often, and mobile first, of course, because you're traveling. So assuming you're not using your laptops, and especially not bank branches. So even in the jobs to be done cluster, it was really helpful. Where once I ran this whole prompt, it gave me some ideas even I had not thought of. This was the biggest problem we were trying to solve, which is, and we've all been there. Your ATM cards get blocked when we use internationally, because the anti-money laundering algorithms or fraud algorithms will feel this is unusual activity and your cards get blocked. So that's what I was trying to solve for. But even like I had not thought of certain trigger moments. Like it was like, oh, when you actually do the first big travel purchase, and if the card is being used for certain travel purchases, we can already start to learn those trigger points. That was really interesting. uh, Boarding pass issued, it was like, oh, can we leverage other data within from other apps to trigger these kind of UX patterns? And then I think the thing I was most excited about was looking at how other competitors are leveraging it. Like, is it a totally net new novel idea, or have others already started to work on it? So that was really interesting to see, you know, whether it's like they're handling it more on the API or chip layer of the card, or is it more user focused within the app? Even as simple as like I love Monzo. If for those of you who work in fintech, highly recommend looking at Monzo in the UK. Like their positioning is so simple, which is like we'll handle everything, even when you're traveling. So you actually don't need a button in the app to say I'm traveling. Like you don't need to tell us when you're traveling. They set the expectation upfront. When they see the activity, then through notifications they engage you, which was really really cool to see. And any kind of like in moment verifications, and again then kind of goes into other specific value props. Foreign exchange transparency is a very big one, for all the fintech players that are playing in this kind of travel space. ATM limits and all, and of course recovery, what happens when things get stolen or your card is defrauded or something. So anyways, a quick prompt. I'll share this prompt, but just combining some overarching competitor research with the jobs to be done framework. It's kind of been very helpful in my when I'm going into those early strategy meetings where you're even just trying to throw out an idea, but be much more informed about it, about the space overall. Yeah. So just wanted to share that. Definitely not as visually cool as Vilakshan's Alpha Romeo ads, but also as part of our jobs. Cool. That was it, folks. We are above our time. Thank you so much. Apurv, you have a question, but I'll quickly say thank you because I know some folks might have to jump to another meeting. Thank you, and hopefully we'll try to do another session next Friday too, and keep these Friday demos going. It's really, the space is changing so fast, so it's really cool to see how quickly things are evolving. And thank you so much to Ian, Eugene, Vilakshan, and Himesh for presenting and sharing your workflows. We'll compile everything together from these folks, if there are prompts and all to share, and put it in the Slack group. So thank you. Okay, Apurv and Isha.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. And I just had a question around, like, I saw a lot of people using ChatGPT specifically, or Claude Code. Does anybody use aggregated services like Perplexity? Or like Perplexity Pro gives you access to almost all the leading models with one subscription, for example. So I was just wondering about the tool choice. Like, how do you folks decide which tool to spend your money at?
Can I respond to that from my perspective? Because this was a big question for me personally for a while. I tried all of those tools. Perplexity in particular, I did not like because of the way the UI and the UX was designed, it gave me very specific prompting questions for what I should do next. And I felt like it did not leave enough space for my own thinking, and it influenced what I should be thinking about next. I personally was probably also, I was working with startups, so I wanted to be able to find that direction that makes sense, and that's not necessarily coming from an AI engine all the time. So I did not like Perplexity because of that reason. It felt like the UX was influencing me to think in a specific direction, which may or may not be relevant. So I look for those signs, which is why personally I like Claude a lot from that perspective. It doesn't push you to ask to, like, it doesn't prompt you in a very specific direction. Yeah, that's just how I decided to go with Claude and tried all of them.
Well, thank you, Shiv. Yeah, Apurv, for me too, I've heard of Perplexity and have been hearing more since they launched the computer feature like 2-3 days ago. Um, for me, at work, we can only use ChatGPT outside of Copilot for now, and maybe ChatGPT might also go away soon. So that was my only reason. At home, I do use Claude much more. I definitely agree. Claude's model seems to be much stronger. Isha, you also had a question before we close?
Yeah, I had a question because I told you at the beginning, I came looking for inspiration today, not to share. And actually, Preet, what you shared is what I was hoping to find, the jobs to be done part. So my specific question was going to be directed to you, which was about at what point, or like, do you even use it for the end-to-end UX workflow in the same way, whatever process you showed? Or do you have enough from your design and product team that you don't outsource that thinking to Claude or ChatGPT or whatever? So at what point do you draw that line? Because this is something that I'm trying to find for myself for the projects that I'm working on. So curious, how do you find that line for yourself?
Right. No, that's a good question. My answer will be, I think, uh, different between work and my 5 to 9 when I'm outside of work. At work, I cannot put Figma frames into ChatGPT, right? Like I work at a bank, so everything is heavily, constrained and regulated, especially even within our security teams. So even something like a design system, like no one's gonna steal a black button, but I cannot get feedback on components and stuff like that. So we do. I think when it comes to actually shipping pixels and all, like we have a great design team. We leverage all those skills internally, even for critiques and reviews. But when it comes to kind of more strategic thinking, which is outside of what we are shipping, right? So competitor landscape, those kind of things really help. I think the competitor research is definitely much more, I would say, under leveraged. So at times, what I will do is I'll take mob and screens of a competitor and I'll throw those into Claude or ChatGPT or whatever and get feedback on the flow. Like what are the gaps that they have not thought, you know? Um, so that's in that case. But if I'm working on my own side projects at home, I mean, now with the Figma MCP, Claude can actually look at your designs and give feedback, and that's been really helpful because there you can tie the strategy all the way to the end deliverables too.
Okay, got it. That's very helpful. And just quick follow up to that, the strategy and then the UX, the end-to-end UX workflow, especially if you're making a new product,
Yeah.
right? You can do that brainstorming with any of these models to help you think about things that you've not probably thought about. Do you
Yeah.
plug in your teams into that thinking, or is that something you do and then pass it on to your team?
No, like for most of our tooling and processes, my personal focus is a lot on leveling up the entire team. So even when they're doing like journey mapping exercises, even when we're doing like simple like user research, we can take the questions and get feedback whether certain questions are leading or not, or another way to get to this outcome, as long as again we are not sharing any confidential stuff.
Got it.
So definitely we are trying to leverage it as much as possible. We use Figma Make a lot at work to do again early explorations. Like let's say we are trying to improve our e-transfer, send e-transfer flow. in the banking app. And if the team has some ideas, it's like start in Figma Make. Don't use any EQ specific branding. Get the 2-3 concepts of those e-transfer flows, bring them into user testing, get early feedback. Only when you're like, okay, yes, this approach, we have a strong sense that the business goals, user goals all align. Then you kind of go into Figma and start fleshing out the designs. So that's the workflow we are roughly using right now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay. I'm going to leave space for other people.
Cool.
Thanks.
I think, 110. Thank you so much, everyone. I will, again, collect all the prompts and different workflows that the folks shared today, and we'll share it in the Slack group and maybe also the newsletter. But thank you so much. And also do, as you are exploring for the next demos, we would love for people to sign up and share new things they're working on. That would be really cool. Thank you so much and see you next week.
Bye.